Okay guys, I am starting this video now. It's live streaming, and let's start the intro. So I'll turn this off, and here is the intro. Alright guys, there was my intro. I hope you liked it. It took me a while to do that, and I want to join the fight, join the info wars, I guess you'd call it. I'm tired of the stuff going on and nobody saying anything about it. And we're going to go over some news, some breaking news, some stuff that's going on, and this is my opinion more than anything. And I'll tell you what I'm for. I'm for America. I'm for our founding fathers and what they laid out for us. My intro means a lot to me because those great quotes from our founding fathers and the great people mean a lot. And you know, go back and pause the video and read those quotes. But I want to start out with some small news here, and we have a mountain lion attack, and Denver, mother fought off a mountain lion that attacked her 5-year-old son while he was playing with his older brother outside his home in western Colorado on Friday, the local sheriff said. The unidentified boy's mother heard screams and raced outside the house northwest of Aspen, where she found a cougar on top of her son. The woman was able to physically remove her son from the mountain lion, and the boy's father called 911 as he drove his son to the hospital. And the sheriff added, a hospital spokesman said the child sustained injuries to his face, head, neck, and was in fair condition. His mother treated for injuries to her hands and legs and released. Sheriff's deputies and law enforcement officer from the U.S. Forest Service found the mountain lion in front of the yard residence and put it down. The officials were searching for a second mountain lion after a witness said 2 lions were seen in the area prior to the incident, the Colorado Parks Wildlife Department said. And Colorado Parks Wildlife spokesman Jennifer Churchill said that there had been 2, possibly 3 fatalities related to mountain lion attacks in state since 1991, while some 16 people have been injured to cougars since 1970. And the reason why I picked this out is because mountain lions are pretty dangerous, and you might want to, you know, the population's getting bigger, and we're intriguing on their area, and we're building residential areas where forest used to be. And this is time to take caution, especially if you have a wooded area next to your house or something like that. And put a fence around your yard. But take caution to things like this. Find out what the wildlife is in your area and be careful. Especially when you know, like the alligator attack in Disney, the Disney Resort. Especially when you're going on vacation and stuff like that, be aware of the wildlife and be aware of your surroundings at all times. I just want to report that because the alligator thing happened not too long ago, and now this has happened. So be careful. Uh, and we're going to take a look at a couple pictures here. And this is the summer solstice. This is the strawberry moon. Oop. And this is coming soon. So you guys keep a lookout for the strawberry moon on the lighter things and stuff. And the summer solstice is the longest day of the year, a day falling around late June when there are approximately 17 hours of light. The name comes from Latin solstitium, meaning sun stands still. It happens because the sun stops heading north at the Tropic of Cancer, and the return, oh, and then it returns back southwards. In the northern hemisphere, this means the days begin to get shorter, but in 2016 is a special year because the solstice coincides with strawberry moon, a once in a lifetime occurrence. So when is this going on? This is in northern hemisphere. It can fall on different dates from year to year between the 20th and the 22nd of June. In 2016, it's on Monday, June 2020, and the sun will rise at 4:45 a.m. and the sunset will happen at 10:43 p.m. So check that out on them dates. Put some pictures out there. I like that. It's pretty cool stuff right there. And this is, I'm nervous, and I don't, I don't do this normally, and I want to make it normal because there's some news out there that needs to be put out there, and this is one of the reasons why I'm doing this. This is one, and people like the conspiracy theorist David Icke. He's like, you're like, if you have information, it's good that you have information, you do all this research, but what does it matter if you don't get it out there? It's like the jail is being built around you and nobody knows about it, and it's like the world's going to collapse around you and you already know about it, but you never said anything about it, and why don't you just get up and do something about it? Pretty much is what he said. I have it in one of these videos. But when I heard the NATO threaten Russia, so here we go. NATO is alleging that because Russia hackers had copied emails on Hillary Clinton's home computer, this action of someone in Russia taking advantage of her having privatized her U.S. State Department communications to her unsecured home computer, and such of Russians snooping into U.S. State Department business that was stored on it might have constituted a Russian attack against the United States of America, and would, if the U.S. president declares it to be a Russian invasion of the U.S., trigger NATO's Mutual Defense Clause, and so require all NATO nations to join with U.S. government in going to war against Russia. if U.S. government so decides. And this is important to me because U.S. The U.S. politicians, they've been pushing for a war to Russia more than once. And here, I'll just I'll put up a couple videos. Let's see here. Put up this one right here. Oh, I don't know why it does that.
Of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different result. So put it a different way. Wouldn't it be insane of you to run for office again? Your husband was forced to defend you at his own conference.
Clinton appeared on all 5 Sunday morning news shows.
I hate that laugh.
Showcase her humanity.
The greatest form of control is where you think you're free when you're being fundamentally manipulated and dictated. One form of dictatorship is being in a prison cell and you can see the bars and touch it. The other one is sitting in a prison cell but you can't see the bar, you think you're free. What the human race is suffering from is mass hypnosis. We are being hypnotized by people like this.
Remember here, the people we are fighting today, we funded. We went to work. The Congress, led by Democrats, who said, you know what, sounds like a pretty good idea. Let's deal with the ISI and the Pakistani military, and let's go recruit these mujahideen, and let's get some to come from Saudi Arabia and other places, importing their Wahhabi brand of Islam so that we can go beat the Soviet Union. And guess what? They retreated, they lost billions of dollars, and it led to the collapse of the Soviet Union.
Что в Ираке там воюют плохо, в Ливии там все довели до того.
So what she was saying there is they pretty much created ISIS, and what I collected from that is they pretty much created ISIS and the terror group to go against the Soviet Union to help them out, and that it's evidently backfired.
Убили в Ливии. Мы что ли это сделали? Всякая резолюция. Это мы что ли сделали? Это же вы сделали своими руками. А закончилось чем? Убийством вас. Сами виноваты. Вот это хорошо для США, что посла убили. Ужасно. Страшная катастрофа. Исходить из вот этих имперских амбиций. Не нужно влять в сознание миллионов людей тем, что другой политики в Соединенных Штатах быть не может, кроме имперской. Мы никогда не забудем нашего сотрудничества и союзничества в Первую и Вторую мировую войну. И нужно опираться вот на эти взаимные интересы.
And basically what Putin is saying in responding to this is that, you know, we fought in wars together, and, you know, this is the big picture. In my opinion, what he's saying is that we fought in wars together. We're allies. We should work together instead of trying to go against each other. And that's one of the main things that I think is out there. You know, Hillary Clinton doesn't like Russia, and I've seen on debates, and I've seen on the news her make comments. And of course, you know, I don't always go off mainstream media, but when she's making comments out of her own mouth saying that we should threaten Russia and go against them and start no-fly zones in Russia, then or start no-fly zones so Russian airplanes couldn't go over, then it leads me to think that she's thinking about war with Russia, and that's not cool to go against. It's not good to go against our allies. If you want to work something out, you can call them up. You don't have to threaten them.
Vladimir Putin's government outraged tonight, vowing, quote, countermeasures against what it believes is America's aggression with nuclear weapons.
Это что означает?
American tactical nuclear weapons are in Europe. Let's not forget that.
The Kremlin is angry, report on a German TV station saying the U.S. is prepared to deploy upgraded nuclear bombs to bases in Europe.
This is the new B-61-12 nuclear gravity bomb. This is the new version of it. There are already old versions of the B-61 nuclear bomb in Europe. They're in Turkey, and they're in Italy, and they're in Germany, and Netherlands, and Belgium.
And I think it's important, too, that the United States make it very clear to Putin that it's not acceptable for him to be in Syria.
I don't think Russia and China believe they are paying any price at all.
That right there, we'll stop the video right there. That right there, that was during the debate. I know this is old news, but this is leading up to a big picture, and this is what what my channel is about, is telling you what the big picture is what it's going to be. And if she gets elected, it's going to be war with Russia. And we've got nukes, they've got nukes, and Putin says he's just defending himself, and that's my whole point, is Armageddon can happen, the end of everyday life. Here, just take another look at this. We'll continue on to this other video. I'll keep doing that. We'll continue with this other video.
I don't think Russia and China believe they are paying any price at all, nothing at all, for standing up on behalf of the Assad regime. The only way that will change is if every nation represented here directly and urgently makes it clear that Russia and China will pay a price.
Okay, now what if you realize that the first of the video, she's saying that they, or America, the U.S. government, put together this Assad regime to go against the Soviet Union, and now she's blaming Russia as building this Assad regime?
Because they are holding up progress, blockading it, that is no longer tolerable.
Нечто такое, что, мне кажется, должно подталкивать наших коллег и наших партнеров к более конструктивной работе, чем до сих пор мы это видим. Что я имею в виду? Совсем недавно, совсем несколько лет назад, лично нам не говорили, но я знаю, что они говорили своим, говорили, ладно, пускай там Россия ковыряется, нам уже даже не очень интересно. У них там ржавчина одна осталась. Это не так. Сегодня это уже совсем не.
So he's basically saying, they're going, our government the U.S. government is going off of saying that Russia has rusted up stuff, and that's a lie. It's pure propaganda to make you guys think that Russia doesn't stand a chance with us. And really, Russia is up on their game, if not ahead of their game. It wasn't too long ago that Russia was in a war game with America, a Navy war game, and Russia launched EMP strike, and it shut down our ships. And if you do your research on the internet, they also say, they have an EMP strike that will devastate countries. And to us, if Russia launched an EMP attack on America, it would devastate us. There would be civil wars. There would be mass riots, and people raiding stores because there's no more food left over because it's bought up. If you notice, if you've been in a state where it's fixing to snow the next day, like I live in Tennessee, and if they call for a snowstorm, you should see all of the shelves clear out at the grocery stores. Now imagine if we got attacked. Imagine what would happen if war started over here. And we've never seen that. We've never seen war on our own homeland. I believe the only time when we were really attacked is 9/11, and Japan burned some forests down during the World War. And I'm just, I don't. Let's put up some more stuff about Hillary here. And let's see here. Well, I don't have that video, but they had a no-fly. She wants a no-fly zone over where we're fighting at in Syria, and you know what happened when Turkey put a no-fly zone on their border. A Russian plane got shot down, and then a Russian helicopter got shot down, and now there's turmoil between Russia and Turkey, and possibly between NATO, because NATO is part of Turkey. NATO's just outdated, and it needs to. We need to be together with our allies instead of against each other. Now, I also wanted to play some stuff here that it's going to take me a minute to get to, but we're going to work through it. So here's my timestamp. So I'm going to minimize that from my timestamp. And another thing on Hillary is she is against. She's for taking our guns away, and she's talking about charging the manufacturers and sellers. So let's take a look at that. That's at 45. Done it again. Let me make that the
now we've come to
default program. That's close enough.
10%. We're going to stay on that path, and we're going to get to 100% universal coverage.
We have to take a break. We'll continue this discussion.
All right. Don't pay attention to that. Sorry.
Ask your question. I just want to ask, how is Abigail doing tonight?
She's now laughing and giggling, but she has a long road of physical...
Okay, this is a man that has heard his... Here, I'll let you hear the story.
Her father, Gene Koff, is here tonight, and I know, Gene, you have a question, but before you ask your question, I just want to ask, how is Abigail doing tonight?
She's now laughing and giggling, but she has a long road of physical recovery.
I should point out you are leaning toward Senator Sanders, but I know you have a question that applies to both candidates. We'll first toss it to Secretary Clinton. What's your question?
The United States has had a rash of mass shootings over the years. 42 shootings in the United States this year alone. The man who shot everyone, including my daughter in Kalamazoo, had no mental health issues reported and had a clear background. What do you plan to do to address this serious epidemic? I don't want to hear anything about tougher laws for mental health or criminal backgrounds, because that doesn't work.
Secretary Clinton?
Well, first of all, I'm looking at your daughter, and I'm very grateful that she's laughing and she's on a road to recovery. But it never should have happened. You know, on average, 90 people a day are killed by gun violence in our country. I think we have to try everything that works to try to limit the numbers of people and the kinds of people who are given access to firearms. The Brady Bill, which has been in effect now for about 23 years, has kept more than 2 million purchases from going forward. So we do have to continue to try to work on that, because not every killer will have the same profile. But the comprehensive background checks, closing the gun show loophole, closing the online loophole, closing what's called the Charleston loophole, where you get a gun at the end of 3 days, even if the background check is not completed, which is what the killer in Charleston did. And then they found out later he shouldn't have gotten the gun, that he killed 9 people at Mother Emanuel Church. I also believe so strongly, Gene, that giving immunity to gun makers and sellers was a terrible mistake because it removed any accountability from the makers and the sellers. And it also disrupted what was a very promising legal theory to try to get makers to do more to make guns safer, for example, to try to give sellers more accountability for selling guns when they shouldn't have. So that is an issue that Senator Sanders and I differ on. I voted against giving them immunity, but I think we should very seriously move to repeal that and go back to making sure gun makers and...
Now, I want to make it clear. I think background checks need to be stricter. I think that they need to do an extensive background check to see if there's any violence, any mental issues, or anything like that. And I don't think felons aren't allowed to have guns anyways. But a lot of things are enforcing the rules that we already have, I think, would do a lot of good for our country. But I'll continue this because there is an important point I want to make, and I really like what Bernie says on this.
Are like any other business, they can be held accountable. And then I do think we've got to have a public...
Thank you.
Well, we've got to have a public discussion because we have created a culture in which people grab for guns all the time. And there's got to be a way to have more warning signals and more efforts to try to stop that from happening.
I want to go to Senator Sanders.
Like with the man who shot your
Senator
daughter.
Sanders.
I remember President Obama being on television maybe 3 months ago. I'm sure the Secretary remembers as well. She knows the president, I know the president, and he's generally speaking, in public at least, not a very emotional guy. And he, after the mass killing in Oregon, if my memory is correct, he said, look, to be honest with you, let's be honest, nobody has a magic solution to this problem. Any lunatic tomorrow, any person can walk into a theater and do something horrific, and you know what? For us to tell you that that absolutely will not happen would be untrue. But what the president said, he said, look, this is a tough issue, but we have got to do everything we possibly can to minimize the possibility of these mass killings. You're looking at a guy who comes from a rural state, no gun control. I have a D- voting record from the NRA. You're looking at a guy who in 1988 lost a statewide election for Congress because I was the only candidate who said, you know what, I don't think it's a great idea in this country to be selling military-style assault weapons which are designed to kill people.
Senator Sanders.
I lost that election by 3 votes. I agree with what the Secretary said. We need to expand and improve the instant background checks. Bottom line is, people who should not have guns in America should not be able to buy guns in America.
Secretary Clinton mentioned the so-called Charleston loophole, what she is calling the Charleston loophole. Is that something, if you were president, you would work to extend that 3-day?
I agree. Absolutely. Look, that bill had some sensible provisions. It had the banning of bullets that pierce policemen's armor. Is that a good thing? I think we want to get rid of that. That particular legislation had safety locks on guns so the kids do not pick them up and shoot them. That bill had bad things in it.
So you would want I have said longer than 3-day waiting period.
Absolutely. That was a very arbitrary decision. What that real debate was about, as you may or may not know, was about how long it would take for the instant background check to go into effect. I wanted that instant background check to go into effect as soon as possible. That was the most important part of that bill.
Secretary Clinton, actually, Senator Sanders, let me continue to follow up. Because Secretary Clinton mentioned the liability, right now, families of Sandy Hook victims announced that they are going to sue Remington, which made the AR-15, which was used in the Newtown massacre. Now, they believe, those families believe that Remington, the distributors, the sellers should be held legally responsible. for how that gun, how their product is used. Now, the lawsuit may not go anywhere because of the bill you voted for, legislation that prevents gun makers from being sued. Tonight, what do you say to those families?
Well, this is what I say, if I understand it, and correct me if I'm wrong. If you go to a gun store and you legally purchase a gun.
Listen to this, guys.
And then 3 days later, you go out and you start killing people. Is the point of this lawsuit to hold the gun shop owner or the manufacturer of that gun liable? If that is the point, I have to tell you I disagree.
And I agree with this.
Because you hold people, in terms of this liability thing, where you hold manufacturers' liability is if they understand that they're selling guns into an area that is getting into the hands of criminals, of course they should be held liable. But if they are selling a product to a person who buys it legally, what you're really talking about is ending gun manufacturing in America.
Okay, now what he's saying is, okay, let me put it for this, in this instance. And Hillary Clinton opposes this. She wants to charge gun manufacturers and sellers for shootings, for crimes. Now, that's just like saying, I sell you a car, and the car I sell you, or the car that the manufacturer made, or the car I sell you, they take that car, and then they go and a drunk driver buys the car, or a guy buys the car, and he goes out, he gets drunk, and he kills somebody. Well, now we're not only going to charge this guy for drunk driving, but we're also going to charge you for selling me that car, or you for making that car. How in the world are you going to know that he was going to go out and get drunk and freaking kill somebody in the car? And they're saying the same thing. If you sold me a gun, or if you made a gun and I bought it and I went out and killed people with it, then you would be liable for me killing people. That don't make sense, because if everything checks out, my background checks out, or, you know, most of the time these guns are not bought legally. In Paris, they weren't bought legally. Paris is a gun-free zone. And San Bernardino, those guns, or the killing, the whole thing, that wasn't, you know, purchased on legal guns. That's the most gun-free zone places, just like that military place. And let's look at the recent one in Florida. In Florida, they go to a gay club. This guy, and he stakes it out. And I've done my research on this. He stakes it out, and there's people that said he was gay himself. I don't have any problem with that. The problem I have is he goes into a nightclub where guns are not allowed, and he goes and kills people, kills all these people. 50 people, I don't know if he had an accomplice or not, but he kills 50 people inside this nightclub. There's no guns allowed. That's, you know, there was an off-duty cop with a gun that freaking stopped all this. And I just don't understand why the thinking in taking guns away will, or making policy on this will make it any better. And I think that's the thinking of the NRA. The only reason why they won't go with any policy at all is because these people are not only obtaining guns illegally, but breaking the law to begin with. And it's not the guns that kill the people; it's the people who kill the people. In Europe, you have people who have stabbings that kill more people than guns do. And in other places, that don't have guns, they're still murders. Just because you take the guns away doesn't mean you're going to stop the violence. Now, the whole thing with the Second Amendment was for there to be more people with guns than the government with guns. So if the government turns tyrant, so the people would have the power instead of the government having the power. And if the government turned, guns like the AR-15 and the AK are little compared to what they have, and we're going to need weapons like that. If even if the government didn't turn tyrant, we are going to see an attack on America soon. I just feel it coming. There's just how our government thinks and the things they say. And I told my friends this, I kind of predicted this tragedy at this nightclub, but I wasn't down to the specifics, however you say that word. I wasn't down to the point to saying this is where it's going to happen, this is what's going to happen. I said that all this transgender stuff going on, and the bathroom whole deal and everything, all this stuff going on is just like 9/11 when gay marriage stuff was going on, when they were talking about gay marriage and we should legalize it in states, and then 9/11 happened. I watched that happen. I remember before what happened before 9/11 and what was going on the news, and I believe that kind of topic was to get everybody thinking about that and them hiding other things. I believe that this tragedy in Florida could have been stopped beforehand, and that this guy was being watched beforehand, and there's more to come. And they stopped one in LA, was it? And I think there's more to come. And I told all my friends, all this transgender stuff going on is a cover up for something bigger fixing to happen. It's to take your mind off of ISIS. It's to take your mind off of what's going on. And I pretty much predicted, I think I predicted this going on. And I think there's more going to happen. And anytime something silly like this comes up on the internet or on the news about your sexual preference and what laws we should make about it, be on the lookout for something big to happen. Let's continue this video for a little bit more. I don't think taking away guns like the AR-15, because it's not that much powerful a gun, and you start taking away guns like that, then what else are they going to take away? And I don't know about you, I don't want to be protecting myself against another or an unknown source or a tyrant government or an enemy, or even somebody just coming in my house. I don't want to be protecting myself with a knife. I don't want to be protecting those guns are made to protect us, and they're not just made for hunting. Somebody said the other day, I thought was pretty neat, that he said the deers aren't attacking us. The deers aren't coming and robbing families and coming into people's homes and stealing. The deers are not a threat to us. It's people. It's tyrant governments. It's that's what our founding fathers made. That was because so the people would have more arms than the government. Because if all the people came together, and say if martial law started tomorrow, if all the people came together with the guns that are in America right now, we would have a chance. We would. But let's continue this right here.
I don't agree with that.
Well, that is not what happened, and I think it's important for people to understand. Because of the proliferation of guns, because of the epidemic of gun violence in our country, there were a group of cities, states, and other concerned people who, in the late 90s and in the early 2000s, were working on legal theories that they thought would force gun makers to do more to make guns safer and force sellers to be much more responsible. The NRA saw this happening, and they said, we've got to stop it. Last thing in the world we want is to have guns that you can only shoot with your fingerprint, or to have guns with such strong safety locks on them that they may not be sellable. So,
And NRA is exactly right. That is the last thing you want, is some gun that you have to identify with your fingerprint first. I mean, okay, here's the scenario. Somebody comes and they're breaking in your house. They're breaking down your door. Okay, well, here you are with a gun and you're fiddling around with the safety. You're getting it to identify your fingerprint. So it will work, but this person has already broken in your home, has already shot you because here you are messing with a gun. Your family could get hurt. The guns are to protect people. The guns are to stop crimes. They're not to cause terror like these politicians are thinking. And if you can't be quick to access this gun in your house, then you can't stop the crime. You're going to get yourself killed messing around with some kind of fingerprint safety device. Alright, I'm going to continue this.
the NRA went to the Congress, and the head of the NRA has said this was the most important NRA legislation in more than 20 years. And they basically went to the Congress. I was there. I was in the Senate. And they said, give us absolute immunity. No other industry in America has absolute immunity. And they sell products all the time that cause harm, and they're held responsible.
Senator Sanders.
As I understand, as I understand it, what you're really talking about is not what Secretary Clinton is responding to. As I understand it, and maybe I'm wrong on this, but what you are essentially saying, what people are saying, is that if somebody who is crazy or a criminal or a horrible person goes around shooting people, the manufacturer of that gun should be held liable. And if that is your position, then what you are saying, essentially, if that is the case, as I understand it, it's not what Secretary Clinton is talking about. I agree with what she said. But if that is the case, then essentially your position is there should not be any guns in America, period.
That is,
now, I
that is
understand.
like the NRA position.
Can I finish, please?
And what he's saying here is if you start charging the manufacturers and the sellers for gun crimes, then it's going to abolish them. They're not going to be able to sell guns anymore because they're going to get sued all the time. They're going to receive criminal offenses for just selling a gun. And she goes on to bring kids' lives to make you feel sorry for crimes that have been committed to try to push this policy. And I think that's the wrong way to go about it. Okay, now I wanted to talk a little bit about Bernie Sanders. And Bernie Sanders, to me, he has minimum wages he wants to bring up. He wants to bring minimum wages up to $15 an hour, and that sounds great. I would love minimum wages to be up to. I would love to make $15 an hour. That would be nice. I would be able to afford a lot of things, but when you bring minimum wages up to $15 an hour, what do you think all the prices are going to go up to? They're going to be not only not able to be afforded by us, they're also not going to be able to be afforded by people overseas buying the products. And so if you bring up wages, prices go up. Not only that, it takes out competition. The people that are already making below minimum wage, when they're brought up to $15 an hour, what happens to them people that just got a raise to $15 an hour? Bringing the minimum wages up a little bit is understandable, but a drastic measure to something like that when the minimum wage is already $7.50, I believe. The people making the products are not going to be able to pay the people $15 an hour without without raising the prices on their products. And you're not going to be able to control a private company and them raising the prices on their products. It's just not going to happen. I had another point on that. When you are selling overseas, you're already competing with other countries, and if your product is phenomenally high, how are you going to sell your products to other countries? We already have that problem. China is a big manufacturer in a lot of products that are very cheap, and Japan. I remember back when I was a kid, you wouldn't buy a product that said Chinese or Japanese or overseas. You wanted the product that said made in USA. And the reason why you wanted that product that said made in USA is because you knew it was a quality product, that you knew it was going to last longer. You knew that that just it being made in USA, you can resell it if you wanted to. You could trade. You could do it. But if it was made in Chinese, you couldn't even take it to a pawn shop. But now it's the other way around. And if you start bringing up prices, that's going to only make everything worse. Now, free healthcare and free colleges or public colleges, that sounds great too. But the thing wrong with free healthcare and free public colleges is this policy is going to have to be made to fall on a certain group of people. He says he's going to make it the Wall Street establishment, the big guys, the people, the rich, so he's going to charge them. Well, you can't charge individual people. That would be totally wrong, and that policy wouldn't even be passed. So you're going to have to make a policy that's going to have to fall on the top whatever percentage of rich people. But who's to say those people are going to stay in America? Why would these people stay in America? And I believe, my opinion is that these people are going to move out of this country, and the policy will fall on the upper middle class. And think about it. If you're rich And this bill passes to where you have to give a big proportion of your money to go towards health care and to go towards colleges for people. Would you deal with it? Would you say, yeah, here, take the money I've spent all my life and earned and worked for myself and do whatever you want to with it? I don't need it. No, it's not going to happen like that. I think the people that make that much money don't even need to be in America, and they could move overseas and make plenty of money from America. But all right, we're moving on, and this is one of the biggest things. One of the biggest things I think that's going on right now that needs to be changed. There's a lot of racism in America right now, and I think this started it. This is my opinion, but this is what I think started this whole racist thing on the protesters against Trump supporters at the rallies. And I don't think it was Donald Trump supporting this. I think it was this line, this sentence, or this phrase from Bernie Sanders, and I'm going to play that now. Oh, I've done it again. Dadgummit.
Now, we've come to Flint because...
It's at 1-9. So we're going to take this to 1-9. Close enough.
To answer your question, I would say, and I think it's similar to what the Secretary said, when you're white, you don't know what it's like to be living in a ghetto. You don't know what it's like to be poor. You don't know what it's like to be hassled when you walk down the street or you get dragged out of a car. And I believe that as a nation in the year 2016, we must be firm in making it clear. We will end institutional racism and reform a broken criminal justice system.
Well, I think that you just started it, Bernie Sanders, and the reason why I think you just started it with this is because there are white people that live in the ghetto. There are white people that have been drugged out of their car by police, and there are white people that do know what it's like to be poor. And you're looking at one right now. I know what it's like to be poor. I've been there. I know what it's like to be drug out of your car every week from a cop. At the time, I wasn't poor in the ghetto, but I was working in a place that was in the ghetto, and I'll tell you where I was at. I used to live in Knoxville, East Knoxville, between Magnolia Street and Martin Luther King Street, in front of the club called Malibu 7. If that tells you anything at all. I was right in the dead heart of it. Right down the road. There's two white people that got killed by some black people. And, you didn't see us riot about it or anything. We thought it was a tragedy, but we didn't see us blaming because it was black people or whatever. I lived right next to, right next to black people that were having problems. I lived in an apartment full of white people. But my whole point is, I got pulled over once a week because they thought I was a white man in a black man's neighborhood, and they thought I was there buying crack. And I lived there. I didn't do any drugs or anything like that. I just lived there because my work was right down the block. And the owner of my work actually had an apartment, and I moved in, along with a lot of other people that worked at the same company as me. But that term right there, that one single term that you said, Bernie Sanders, has started this whole racist thing. It makes me, I think it was racist to say that. I think that whole phrase was racist to even say that. I love black people. I have black friends. I even have black people in my family. There is nothing wrong with racism in America right now. It's better than it has ever been, except for the people yelling to Trump supporters, "You're a racist," blah blah blah. And I guess this clip right here, I'm going to play this other clip, I think that a lot of people feed off of, a lot of social justice warriors, and but I think they feed off of this clip.
So we put out a statement today. We watched this, and it's impossible to watch this gross incompetence that I watched last night. And we put out a statement a little while ago, and these people are going crazy. They won't report it properly. Shall I read you the statement? Donald J. Trump is calling for, now listen, you gotta listen to this one, because this is pretty heavy stuff, and it's common sense, so we have to do it. Remember the poll numbers, 25%, 51%. Remember the poll numbers. Okay, so remember this, so listen. Donald J. Trump is calling for a total and complete shutdown of Muslims entering the United States until our country's representatives can figure out what the hell is going on. We have no choice. We have no choice. We have no choice. According to Pew Research, among others, there is a great hatred toward Americans by large segments of the Muslim population. Most recently, a poll from Center for Security Policy released data showing 25% of those polled agreed that violence against Americans, these are people that are here, by the way, people here, 25, not 1%. By the way, 1% would be unacceptable. 1% is unacceptable. 25% of those polled agreed that violence against Americans here in the United States is justified as part, think of that, as part of the global jihad. They want to change your religion. I don't think so. I don't think so. Not going to happen. As part of the global jihad, and 51% of those polled agreed that Muslims in America should have the choice of being governed according to Sharia. You know what Sharia is? 51%. Sharia authorizes, and look, this is, it's terrible. Sharia authorizes such atrocities as murder against non-believers who won't convert, beheadings, and more unthinkable acts that pose great harm to Americans, especially women. I mean, you look, especially women. Tough stuff. And we have a president that won't even mention the term. And you're talking about numbers like this. Mr. Trump stated, without looking at the various polling data, it's obvious to anybody the hatred is beyond comprehension of such a big portion. Where the hatred comes from, And why, we will have to determine. We're going to have to figure it out. We have to figure it out. We can't live like this. It's going to get worse and worse. You're going to have more World Trade Centers. It's going to get worse and worse, folks. We can be politically correct and we can be stupid, but it's going to get worse and worse. Until we are able to determine and understand this problem and the dangerous threat it poses, our country cannot be the victim of horrendous attacks by people that believe only in jihad. These are people who only believe in jihad. They don't want our system. They don't want our system. And have no sense of reason or respect for human life. They have no respect for human life.
All right. I think they feed off that stuff. Them social justice warriors and all them people that are saying that Trump supporters are racist, and I think they're feeding off that stuff. But where is he getting this from? Where is he getting this statement from? And I have another clip. I was gonna show you the clip on him responding to Fox News and what he said, but I'm going to move on and go ahead and show you why he's getting this information or where he's getting this information. And I don't know, you guys need to just watch it for yourself and see what you guys think. Oh, here I go, doing the wrong thing again. I'll finally get this right.
Part 2 of my interview with the controversial imam. Police say the Orlando terrorist was enrolled in his website, but the imam denies it.
Take one big face off of it.
Hypothetically, do you condemn stoning a woman to death for adultery?
No, I do not condemn that.
Why not?
Do you condemn someone to electric chair for whatever crime they get the electric chair for?
So you think adultery for a woman is a death penalty offense?
Not just a woman. Why do you want to specify a woman?
Because I see the women being stoned to death, and I don't see the men. Are they stoning the men to death?
Well,
are they?
I don't know.
Okay, the only thing I see, and I haven't seen with my own eyes, but I see the women getting stoned to death for adultery. I don't see the men getting stoned to death.
This is unfair. You know, I do. If that was the case, I would agree with you that this would be a biased type of approach. What I do not condemn is the concept that stoning is an inappropriate punishment for adultery, because we find in the Quran and in the Sunnah that we stone a person who is an adulterer, meaning has been married. However, I don't think that we have a foot to stand on when we talk about, when we Americans talk about the death penalty, when we also implement the death penalty.
I guess the other thing too is, I guess in Islam, a man can have more than one.
Still, adultery is adultery. A man should be stoned.
A man can have more than one wife, but a wife can't have more than one husband, right?
Of course not. But still.
What do you mean, of course not?
Of course not. It's not natural.
How about for politics? You thought about Trump or Clinton?
Trump or Clinton? Yeah. I don't like either one.
Why? Let's start with Trump.
Trump, to me, you know, and he's a New Yorker. You know, normally I like New Yorker, and I like some of his braggish, you know, crazy ways. You know, I like that about him. But Trump plays too much to ignorance, and it's kind of like getting people to do crimes and hurt other people. That's not good for the country. Like I just said, I think we need to be healing. So I don't think Trump is going to be a good president in that regard.
All right, okay? Hillary Clinton.
Hillary Clinton, as a Muslim, I object to Hillary Clinton. No, I don't believe a woman should be the president of a nation. As our Prophet ﷺ, he taught us that whenever a woman is in charge, there's going to be problems. What if she's on her menses and it's time to go to war? She's going to press the button because she's angry? You know? I don't believe that she should be put in that position. You know, we're still debating whether a woman should be in the battlefield with men. We're going to make a woman a president? No way. She hid those records of her phone calls and stuff like that. No. People, when she was, what's that Whitewater thing? People on her staff decided to all of a sudden commit suicide. I don't trust Clinton at all. You know, don't trust this guy Trump. Don't trust Clinton. But when you got these two places, where are you going to turn? I like Bernie.
Why?
You know, Bernie seemed honest. You know, real honest guy. Did he have all the answers? No. I didn't think he was going to win, but I liked him. You know, I thought he was a better choice for America because I think he would have been more even-handed if he could. You know, big business doesn't allow those politicians to do much. And people need to recognize that. The president he's just a manager, right? He doesn't make all the decisions, you know? So that's what I see about the two. Is there a third person?
So when they behead James Foley, a journalist, your thought is what?
I believe some journalists need to be beheaded, but I wouldn't have done that.
You believe some journalists need to be beheaded?
I only say that facetiously.
Okay.
In that, in a
So
way.
how can you in any way justify ISIS
I'm not
beheading?
justifying.
Okay.
I'm not justifying it. I was just stating that, you know, no, I don't justify any of their activities, and no, I don't think that.
Shouldn't we stop them?
No. Why would
because they're beheading people, beheading Americans?
Okay. Don't we have our own problems here?
Yeah, we have problems here, but
okay.
I mean,
So is it our business?
Well, apparently, some of those problems are being imported here.
Only because I think that because we feed into this and we grow it here.
You can watch my entire.
Alright guys, you seen that? And I just, you know, I want to say this. I don't think the Muslim or the Islam religion would mix with America too well, because they, you know, they throw gay people off of buildings. They you know, chop people hands off they steal, and you know, that's their way of thinking. They don't have a savior. They don't have Jesus as a savior to pray to and ask for forgiveness. They believe in more of the old way, in like if you steal, chopping your hand off. People do drugs, their own people that do drugs they kill. And am I racist because I make these comments? It's a religion. I'm not talking about Arabs. I'm not talking about one form of race, because there's Muslims that are white, there are Muslims that are black, there are Muslim of all colors. This is not a racist thing. And that's the point I'm getting to, is these protesters against Trump supporters are screaming racist. And just because he wants to ban Muslims, which I don't agree with banning all Muslims, but just because he says that doesn't make him a racist. I don't understand. I watched FouseyTube the other day, and he went on this rant, and I love FouseyTube. I love him to death. And I like some of the videos he does on social experiments, where he goes out and he tests people on, you know, how they think and everything. I love that part. But he went on a rant and basically called, you know, people that talk about Muslim people are racist. And I want to play this other clip. And this other clip is it's a little bit hard to watch, but it makes you understand, you know, the way of Muslim thinking. And and this is why I open up this whole debate, this whole YouTube thing. I want to go ahead and put this out there. I want to go ahead and say this. I want to go ahead and say this is the whole reason why I opened this as a live stream. There's a chat on the side here. You can make comments below after this video is done. If you want to debate me on these topics, feel free to debate me on these topics. All I ask is you keep it clean. There's family people watching this. Keep it clean. If you're going to debate me and start cussing up a storm, I don't want to debate you. I want a civilized debate if you're going to debate me. But this is why this is open. I can see, I've got another computer beside me. I can see the chat. You guys can ask me questions while this is going on. You guys can make statements while this is going on. And do I know it all? No, I don't know it all. But this is my opinion, and I'm a firm believer in America and its foundation and the Constitution, and I'm letting you guys see my views on things right here, and I'm opening up something that a lot of alternative medias don't do, is an open debate on YouTube. You can debate me openly on the side here, so all you have to do is say something at any time. So I'm going to play this other clip, and I'm going to do it right this time. There we go.
When you say the Yazidis have embraced Islam, that's under the sword. There have been so many clear reports about that happening under threat of death.
Actually, it's not entirely true. I mean, I think there are many Yazidis.
Not entirely true. What do you mean?
It's not entirely. Because basically, look, I mean, if you look at the Yazidis, those people who were in charge, they were supporting Nouri al-Maliki under the American occupation. And obviously, there are some people among them who need to be caught, they need to be arrested and tried. But for the vast majority of the people, especially the women and children, nobody will ever target. But for the vast majority of the people, they can embrace Islam, or they can live according to the law of the land, which is Islam. It's just not true. Those people who are being targeted are the criminals.
And see, I don't like that choice. You can either embrace it or you can live by the law. And I understand that it's that way in Arabic countries, but we don't need that way over here. You got a freedom of religion. You can pick whatever religion you want, or not pick a religion at all. And when we start changing our ways, when we start, I'll just play this and I'll get to my point after this.
People who have committed crimes, and definitely they need to be tried according to Islamic law. You may not agree with that, but that is the law of the land in this region now.
Let me ask you about Friday's report that the UK has raised the terror threat level. British Prime Minister David Cameron said that 28,000 pieces of extremist material have been taken off the internet, including, I think, 46 ISIS-related videos. Have you and your videos and your materials been affected by this?
No, not at all. I think that, I don't pose a threat to anyone in this country. I pose an ideological or political threat, definitely. I believe that I can counter the arguments and the narrative of the government and those people who are, banging the drums of war, in Muslim countries. But at the end of the day, I think that ultimately Theresa May and David Cameron have lost the argument if they're going to run roughshod over the very principles and values which they're fighting for, in places like Afghanistan and Iraq. Why exactly are British and American soldiers dying, if not for the same freedoms and, and values which they are now stifling over here for the Muslim community?
You said you'd pose no threat to the UK, and yet wouldn't you agree that you convert people to a radical form of Islam?
There's nothing called a radical or moderate form of Islam. A woman is either pregnant or not pregnant. If you abide by Islam, you will follow what is in the Quran and in the traditions of the Prophet. And quite frankly, you will never find anything that I say which does not have Islamic basis. I challenge anybody out there.
So many Muslims would reject what you just said and say that you are warping your religion for terrible purposes.
I think you will find that those people who differ with me believe in secularism, believe in freedom. Maybe they're being paid by the government to say what they say. But, I'm not saying anything outside of the divine faith. This is true. No, it's not true at all. Brian, look, I've been in propagating Islam, and I've met most of the leaders of the Muslim community. I've been on many platforms. I know exactly what's out there. If you go to Muslims who are actually practicing around the world, maybe in Indonesia, in the Middle East, you will find they say exactly the same thing as me, because I'm not calling for leadership for individuals. I'm calling for leadership for Islam, and I make sure that what I say accords to the Quran and the Sunnah of the Prophet.
I've been trying here to have you answer in full sentences, full statements, but I wonder why you agree to go on shows like Sean Hannity's. You went on his show on Fox this week, and it's a shouting match the whole time. Both of you barely get a sentence out at a time. So why do you agree to go on a show like that?
I don't believe that there's any platform which should not be utilized to pass the message of Islam. And I know that Sean Hannity is going to interrupt. I know that he's been very rude to some of his guests. But at the end of the day, in between that, I can try to pass the message of Islam. I can try to counter some of those arguments. If there's going to be a platform which is constantly being used against Islam or Muslims, I think from time to time you can go there. I don't mind if they insult me or they insult, the way, my own behavior. But at the end of the day, I believe that the truth would prevail. And I think that you can see from the reaction on the social media that, I won that debate, and many people are looking at what I actually said, and they're ignoring what Sean Hannity is saying.
you talk about wanting the truth to prevail, but here's what bothers me. When we were setting up for our interview here, the audio engineer asked you to do what every guest does, to count to 10, check the mic. And you started to do that, but then you said 9/11, 7/7, 3/11. Is this all some sort of a joke to do that?
Well, you know, if you had a sense of humor, maybe you would have laughed. It was just a sound check, you know, and you shouldn't take any of these things that seriously. Obviously, you know, I'm not saying to you carry out an operation.
A sense of humor.
We were setting up the sound check, and I said 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 9, 11, 7, 7, making sure that you can hear me. It's not a big issue. It's not a big deal. If you want to make it a big deal, by all means do so. But it makes you look much more shallow, really, than me.
I have nothing more to say, but thank you for joining me. When you say the Yazidis have embraced Islam, that's under the sword. There have been so many clear reports about that happening under.
It's just like saying, you know, it makes me sick. It's just like joking around about 9/11. It makes me sick to even think about somebody joking around about 9/11. And that guy's radical. He teaches a radical point of view, and he said it himself. He takes it directly out of the Quran, and I looked it up for myself, and that's what I want everybody. Don't take my word. Don't take anything I say on this. Research yourself. Find out what's going on yourself. Use this channel as a topic to find out the truth. Use what is presented to you, this evidence that I present. I present this to you to go research it yourself. And he said he takes it right out of the Quran, and I went and researched it myself. There's over 100 verses in the Quran that support violence, and I read them. I read a bunch of them. I didn't read all of them, but I read a bunch of them, and they don't support, you know, women's rights. They don't support freedom. And I watched a video on Vice News, and it showed the Islamic State, ISIS. They go around and they see, you know, how businesses are going in their community, in their markets and stuff, and they see how things are going. And if somebody is not wearing the right colors, or a woman is wearing their hijab, or however you say it, if they're not wearing the right color, or if you could see through it or something, then they state the problem. If they're selling alcohol, they state the problem. They say it nice and friendly the first time, or at least on camera they did. And they say, look, this needs to be changed, and if this ain't changed, then we're going to have further problems. And then they go to show people in jail for, one guy was in jail for drugs, and he's begging and pleading and saying, you know, he's a new Muslim again and all this other stuff, and basically pleading for his life. And Vice goes to tell you, you know, these people get put to death for doing drugs or selling alcohol. And they go to tell you that, you know, there's people that lie or cheat. I mean, these people that steal get their hands and arms chopped, or legs and arms chopped off. And when we start, like San Bernardino, they said the Christmas tree is what set these guys off. And they always blame something that sets them off. And then they want to, like in San Bernardino, they canceled the Christmas tree lighting. When we start changing our ways because people are doing acts of terrorism and saying that, you know, this is triggering them, when we start changing our ways to work around this, they're winning the fight. When we start changing our beliefs, when we start changing our laws, when we start doing stuff to cope with the problem, then instead of fighting the problem, instead of standing up against the problem, they're winning. They're winning the fight. And we can't do that. We can't change our laws because of something they done. We can't change our ways and our beliefs, our freedoms, our rights. We can't change this stuff because somebody done some act of terror on some people. That's us losing the fight. And that's the whole reason why I'm standing up and saying something, is because we don't need to change our ways. We need to keep the freedom of speech. We need to fight against socialism. And you know, that's another thing. You think socialism is going to work in America. Socialism is basically saying we give the government more money than we already do, and they decide what they do with it. We've already given them money and they've done poorly with it. What makes you think they're going to do any better with it? And then, on the other hand, you have people working to live, and some people don't really care. I don't know. At your workplace, you have people that don't really care about what they're doing or their job. Can you imagine if they just said, "Oh, well, I'm getting paid from the government anyways, so I'm just going to sit on my ass and do nothing and get paid from the government. What's it matter?" It's just not going to work in America. It's never worked in any other country. It's always failed in other countries. And anytime they try to say, well, we're going to give you more security and take away some of your freedoms, but you'll have better security, that's just propaganda. That's a facade. That's them lying to you. You're not going to have any more security than you already have. You're probably going to have less. And they're going to dictate how your life runs and what you do, and when you come out of school, you'll be set on a path to already do something, and maybe you love it, maybe you don't. It doesn't matter because the government said you had to do it. That's socialism. And all socialist placed is ran by communism. If you look at China, it's socialist, but the government is communism. Research it for yourself. Do that research. And I'm about to end this video. I'm glad we got a couple people watching, but I hope it gets out to more people. Share this video. I'll just go ahead and tell you, all the videos I put out, I'm probably going to be copyrighted because there's those little labels on the side there, and I don't make nothing from this. I don't make nothing at all. Nobody's paying me to do anything. I'm disturbed by this stuff, and somebody needs to come out and I'm just speaking on what I think is right, on the way I think America should be. We should be free. We should protect the laws that our forefathers made for us. And I'm going to show you something else. This is a protester harassing a man over carrying his weapon. So I'm going to shoot this video. Well, there I go doing the wrong thing again.
So am I. but the Native Americans
My
like
question is why, hold on.
Why do you carry a gun?
Because I'm a fucking American.
Yeah.
I have that right.
I'm sorry for the language, guys.
You touch him, you're down. This is my Second Amendment right. This is my Second Amendment right.
Okay.
I'm going to go ahead and say this. There's people already cussing in this video. If you got young kids around, get them away from the computer. And but I'm going to continue playing it anyways.
Yeah. Are you an American?
It's all right. He asked me, why am I carrying a gun? Because I'm an American. Stay away from him. Are you an American? Are you an American citizen?
Yeah.
Why are you not carrying a gun?
Because he doesn't want to carry a gun and add to the assholes. He doesn't want to add to the assholes like you.
It has nothing to do with. Oh my God! I'm an asshole.
Yeah, right.
I'm defending
We're
my
an
Second
American,
Amendment right.
ma'am. What do you have a Mexican flag for? Man
Absolutely.
Mexican.
That's
Nice tattoo below the eye.
I'm Mexican and American flag.
Nice tattoo there, buddy. You need a teardrop tattoo maybe next
Trump
month.
is a racist?
Trump is he doesn't like women, he doesn't like blacks, he doesn't like Hispanics, and he doesn't like Muslims.
He's hired more Hispanic workers in this country than almost any employer. Why do you have to? Why are we calling names?
I'm white.
Why are we calling names?
So, white people don't like Trump just as much
White
as
people.
assholes.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Why don't you go get a job?
I have a job. I'm
do you?
retired.
What?
I will
You at the food stamp
Don't even think about it.
And the reason why I showed this clip is showing the hatred that goes on. I mean, it's just crazy. Racism. There's another thing I want to point out. If you look at Muhammad, the Muslim, what do you call him? I guess the Muslim leader Muhammad, the Prophet. Sorry, the Prophet Muhammad. He's white. You know, in the Quran it talks about Muhammad owning slaves. And do you people know the history of slave traders? Because the Arabs were part of the slave trade. They took the blacks in Africa and sold them for slaves. And you know, that's something you guys, I'm just giving you something to look up, research that, and see what you come up with. We don't need this hatred in America. It's really sad to see this type of hatred, and I'm racist because I talk about it, because I talk about a religion. You know, and I love everybody of all colors. I don't see how I'm racist because I talk about a religion. And is Christianity perfect? No, Christianity is not perfect at all. There's a lot of different denominations that push their own agenda, and I believe Christianity has a problem too, because it comes down to what God said. In the Bible, He said, "Who are you trying to impress, men, or are you for the Islam or the Israelites know the word, but the word is not righteous unless it comes from God. So who are you trying to impress, man or God?" And that's what I think about denominations. They push more their own agenda when it's really about the Savior. It's really about Jesus Christ and what He did and why He died on the cross. Let's go to this other one right here. This will be my last clip, I think. No, did it wrong again. big head off the screen here. And here we go.
Whose university? Whose university?
Oh, I gotta get this.
If you are allowed to express, I am allowed to express.
Why is Trump a white supremacist? Just give me one example. Why is he racist? One example. That's all I need.
I don't even need to say anything to you.
Oh, I love it. Because I'm a white male.
The fact that you can't answer those questions means you're not paying attention.
But what does the fact that you can't answer the questions mean?
Do I need to refer to the fact that he calls all Mexicans rapists?
He never called them.
He didn't. Right. He didn't.
He did not.
He did
Some
not.
of them, yes, sir.
Check your facts, man. He did not.
Am I allowed to speak, or are you just responding to my point?
I am responding to your point.
Bro, I'm like... I don't understand the cameras.
You don't understand
like,
many
you're
things.
trying to find...
Come on, how is Trump racist? Just name one thing. Just name one thing he actually said or did. Just one evidence.
We all realize that no matter what I say, you're going to try and turn it into
No.
something.
Please
different.
answer. Please answer
You're not
the question.
even letting me talk. You're talking over me.
Please answer the question. Why is Trump a racist? Specific reasons.
Donald Trump is a symbol of what is wrong with this country. Donald Trump is a white male who has inherited privilege that he cannot even, take a...
He's a fucking white male!
I thought you were going to say a specific reason of when Trump has been racist. That's what we asked. Not that he's what's wrong with America. We want specific reasons.
So you don't think building a wall in between America and Mexico is
Whether have a border or we don't.
Every country has
Walls are not racist. They're not semi-permeable depending on race.
Every border has a vested Let's talk about other countries that have walls in between themselves.
Like Mexico, where if you come from South America, they deport your ass.
Yep.
Are they racist against South Americans, or are they they have vested interest in protecting their national security?
I am not denying that y'all have knowledge of what happens at borders.
But just to start the dialogue by calling us white supremacists, especially since a lot of us are Mexican, it doesn't create a conversation, right?
The Donald Trump campaign is overly aggressive. And the fact that y'all are here representing it is why.
Hold on. I have to object because this young man wore a Donald Trump hat and got spit on, shoved, physically assaulted. Has there been cases of people assaulting Bernie supporters on this campus? We have one that's been reported. Has there been reports of Bernie supporters getting...
I hear what you're saying.
Yeah.
Now, yes, it's horrible what happens here. I was overly aggressive to start this. I think it's undeniable that we have started the dialogue. What happened to you is not okay. My point about how Donald Trump's campaign is overly aggressive and represents a lot of things that are wrong with this country is why people are acting like that towards. It's not okay that they're doing it. It's not okay that I started this dialogue by yelling at y'all, but there are emotions nationwide involved in this.
Can you name one of the things about American society that Donald Trump represents? Because you say he represents the worst in culture. Can you put a name to each one of those
What would you say Bernie Sanders' #1 point is?
No, hold on. That wasn't the question.
No, that wasn't the question.
But I'm answering his question.
Okay, Bernie Sanders.
Alright, guys. And that's the type of racist stuff I talk about is... I think it's racist to sit there and say that kind of stuff. That a white man talks about white privilege, and that's why what Bernie said really counts on how this started. I think him saying all that was him saying that white people don't know what it's like to be poor or live in the ghetto is completely wrong, because there are white people that are poor and living in the ghetto. Luckily I got out of there when I lived there. It was pretty bad, and I had to get out of there, and it cost me about $3,000 just to get my license back after living in the ghetto. And So that's proof on firsthand that, you know, white people do live in the ghetto and get harassed by cops on a daily basis. And I remember one time when I first moved there, I got shouldered by a black guy, and telling me I wore the wrong color shirt. And I was like, you know, I didn't mean anything by it or whatever. And he's like, just telling me to get out of there and all this other stuff. And I was glad that the Arab guy behind the counter, showed his gun and walked me to my car. I was glad he done that. And if it wouldn't have been for the rights or Second Amendment, I would have probably been killed by that guy, which was pretty much a gang member for the Bloods. I would have probably been killed by him, and just for wearing the wrong color shirt. And that's the reason why I'm standing up and talking about this, is because there's two sides to every story, but there's a lot of people on the wrong side right now. And when you're going to take away our freedoms, our rights that our forefathers made, you're going to take away our country. You're going to demolish everything that people flee to on a daily basis. There's people immigrants, even Muslims, of all people, of all countries, that come here because America is free. They can come here and live and do what they want and practice their own beliefs and say what they want and not be charged for it and not be arrested for saying the wrong thing or wearing the wrong color or even people that commit crimes. You go to other countries and commit the same crimes, you're going to be in a whole load of more trouble than you would be in America. And America gives you a chance to turn your life around, which a lot of people don't get those chances. And I'd rather live in a country where people have chances and where people have the opportunity to turn their life around and to do things better for themselves, rather than killed or damned for the rest of their life. But as I said, I'm not making anything from this, but I want you, as a payment or whatever, I want you guys to share this video and get it out there, because I'm going to start making them every day. And it's going to be hard to make them every day. I have a son, I have a family, and I got other things to do, and I work. So I'm not just some person that sitting at home all day. I've got a lot of stuff to do. But I'm going to take some of my gaming time that I play games with and make some videos like this. But if you like this video, please drop a like and share it. If you want to support me further, there's stuff on my YouTube page you can figure out. It shows how you can support me or whatever. But if you want to see more videos like this, put down in the comments what you want to see and what you want me to talk about, and I'll do my best to try to touch up on those issues. But I'm going to come out with the newest news that I think is important, and I hope you guys continue watching. Thank you for watching. This is Inc. AM, which is Incorporated Alternative Media, incorporated by the people, for the people. Thank you for watching, guys. See you later.